village idiots
God.
with a love-hate relationship.
See, you got fat. See, you still look like a 15-year-old girl, but not hot.
Who can't stop arguing over Oklahoma sports.
You know what, man? Why am I still talking to you?
Come on, we were doing good there, man.
It's the Just Okay Sports Podcast, hosted by Troy and Daryl.
Sooner Nation, Thunder Nation, we are back. This is the Just Okay Sports Podcast. I'm one of your village idiots, Daryl. I am here with my brother, Jared, a.k.a. J-Rod, and corporate has decided to call in the big guns, and we have Troy along for the ride as well. So,
where have I heard that name Troy? Where have I heard that name Troy at before?
Yeah,
I think it's on the intro.
I think it's on the intro.
Oh, that's what it is. It's his name's on it, not mine. Got it.
That's right. Yeah. That's the way corporate has it. I don't understand, but that's the way it rolls. So. Welcome, Troy.
Yeah, when you're CEO, you get to make those kinds of calls. How you doing, Troy?
That's so true.
I'm fine. Y'all? How are y'all doing? Good God, you idiots.
Man, we had a great 4th of July. We had amazing brisket. We had pulled pork. We had, man, what else was there, Jared?
Wings, ribs.
We had wings, ribs. We had the Oreo, whatever dessert thing that was there. It was an awesome time.
There was a good spread. Yeah. Me and Daryl actually
great spread.
We kind of dominated in cornhole. Then there was a game. Our first game we dominated. Our second game we dominated, but we lost because we kept busting.
Yeah.
We literally busted like 4 times, and it took them one time to get to 21. But anyway.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Anyway,
Troy, how was your 4th?
Yeah, cheers, go.
This is a family podcast, so I'm. Oh, you guys are already starting.
Are we gonna get a text after this? Like,
oh gosh,
he's gonna go subtweet us.
It was good. It was a fun time, family, all that stuff. Yeah. It was fine. I'm still trying not to get mad at y'all right now, like because here's the context for anybody listening, because probably not. There's nobody, but here's the context. Is because I've been pissed at Daryl over the last week for not inviting me over to his barbecue thing where Jared was there, people that he loved were there, but not me, not my family. And so
my neighbors. It was a neighborhood event.
Hey, you love them. Okay. Apparently you love them. Okay.
You know what? I'll tell you what, Troy, when I move up there, I'll invite you to all my stuff. Like, if I cook out, you're coming over, my guy.
When is this happening? When is this taking place?
Well, hopefully within the next year or so. I'm looking already, but
how's the looking going?
I mean, we gonna have a podcast about the housing market, because we could have a whole podcast episode on that right now.
Hey, speaking of which, if you are new to this podcast, it's called the Just Okay Sports Podcast because, number one, it's just okay and very, very below average. 2, because we focus on Oklahoma sports. So that's what we talk about. Anything that is around Oklahoma sports, that's what we do. It's what we're about. So if you end up liking it, please like, subscribe, do all those things for the channel. Leave us a 5-star review, even though we're easily a 2-star or lower podcast, but we have 5-star hearts. So that's what we need. Also, you can go to Redbubble and check out our merch store. So please go there. Right now, we have the Lincolnite stickers, shirts, phone cases, all that stuff are up. So go and buy you something to help support. Plus, 10% of everything we make goes to Make-A-Wish. So you definitely want to go and check that out. Go ahead.
Can I real quick? Can I just get Logan to design a shirt for me that says "Justice for Jared"?
Yes.
Since I'm still not on the intro.
I'm on that for not still being on the intro. We can't Jared on the intro. That's what we need.
Hold on. Corporate just texted me and said that's never gonna happen. Sorry.
I'm inviting you to my barbecues, bro.
Hey, I'm pissed at you, but just by association at this point.
That's true.
That's fair.
True. Speaking of guilty by association, Baker Mayfield was associated with one of the worst franchises in history, therefore is now associated with being an average quarterback, but has been freed. The Free Baker movement has finally taken shape. It is official today. He is out of Cleveland and he's moving to Carolina. I
mean, Yeah, I mean, Carolina's not a bad fit, right? Like Carolina's got some pieces, like, you know, obviously, like they're not a complete team like several. I don't know who I could think of in the league, but
Buccaneers, the Chiefs, the
yeah,
Rams, like
right, like they're not as
Super
complete as
Bowl
those guys,
champs. Yeah.
but you have Christian McCaffrey now, you have Baker Mayfield. I mean, you've got weapons, right? Like, and so it's definitely not a roster that he's going to where it's like, oh, he's expected to only get 4 wins a season. Like there's going to be expectations and stuff, and he's going to have the ability to, if he can play up to the level that we've seen him to in the past, as much as Browns fans are idiots and want to say that he sucked, who elevated a franchise out of winless seasons, by the way. If that's like he's gonna be able to go compete. He's gonna be able to do some good things. So I'm like, it was so funny because I saw the stuff pop up on Twitter. And I was like, dude, this has got to be like a joke. Because like everybody's been joking about it for so long that I was like, bro, like there's no way that this, like, I just thought it was like people memeing and they got hooked or something. But
okay.
Go ahead, Troy.
I have a lot of thoughts on this. A lot of, because y'all know.
Here we go. I
Y'all
knew
know
this
my
was going
love
to get
for
it
Baker.
rolling today.
Y'all know my love for Baker. First off,
Mine too. Yep.
Can you guys name a wide receiver on their team outside of Robbie Anderson, who, yeah, he's a top shelf for wide receiver?
DJ Moore.
Okay. Can you name another one?
Rashard Higgins.
Take down the roster list.
I'm not looking at roster list.
Oh, please. Okay. By the way, cool thing, Charleston Rambo is on the squad.
Now, see, I did not know that.
So there you go.
Oh, Stonehands Rambo.
But I will say this. Let me ask you this. Is this a better wide receiver core? I think it is, but like how much better of a wide receiver core is this for Baker than the Browns?
I don't think it is. Personally. I mean,
it is, because Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore. DJ Moore is a lot better than people think. Robbie Anderson is and Robbie Anderson is number 2, and he might be better than anybody that the Browns have had the last couple of years.
Okay, I'll say this. How about this? I don't agree with that take. I will say this. If you consider McCaffrey as basically like a slot receiver to go with Moore, then you might have an argument.
I think overall, the offense that the Panthers are going to have is going to be better than what the Browns have as a whole.
Wrong. I disagree.
Yeah, see? I disagree too.
I disagree. And I think specifically because the O-line, they're made to run the ball. It's play action, right? This team is not made for play action.
But they did upgrade a lot of their O-line. I mean, and again, the only reason I even know that is I was in a Brown space earlier today when all the Baker stuff went down to see, what Brown fans were saying and thinking. And the O-line was something that came up, and they mentioned they drafted a big time guy in the first round to be a tackle, and then they spent some big money on some free agents. So will it be as good as Cleveland's offensive line? Probably not. When that O-line's healthy, it may be the best there is. Now,
so okay, here's the other thing. I got to cut you off. Here's the other thing, because sorry, Daryl. The Panthers already come out and said that he is not given QB1 status, right? He's going to have to compete with Sam Darnold. Every fiber in my being, y'all know where I'm going with this. Every fiber in my being wants him to beat out Sam Darnold so bad that Colin Cowherd has a literal baby. Like
no. Let's slow down, because I don't need another Colin Cowherd in the world. Jesus,
I want him to lose his mind so bad,
dude. He like, and this is the thing. Well, and people forget that they drafted. Oh my God, his name just slipped my mind. The Pitt quarterback,
Matt Corral.
Or no, it was Ole Miss. Yeah, you're right, Matt Corral.
Yeah.
So it's like, and he looks like he has a lot of promise too. So I mean, you got to consider he's got to beat him out too. But yeah, speeding out Sam Darnold, like, to me, he doesn't seem like a heavy lift. Like, Sam Darnold has not panned out as a professional.
You want to know what Sam's stats were last year? He completed 60% of his balls. Not great, right? Actually, it was just a tick under 60%. Not great. 200 yards a game. He averaged 9 touchdown passes to 13 interceptions.
Yeah, that's
in 12 games.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's
poop.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, Baker's presumably. I mean, I know they said they're not going to give him the QB1 status, but it's pretty much his for the taking for the most part.
Okay,
but like I said,
sorry, go ahead.
No,
Okay, so then my other thing is like the Panthers have to convey a 2024 fourth round pick if he plays 70% of the snaps this year. Do you think there's going to be like hey, he didn't make it, he's QB2, so they don't have to convey that draft pick?
I mean, I don't think so, because it's it's a 5th or 6th round or something like that.
They're giving him a 5th. They're giving him a 5th, and they have to convey a 4th if he plays 70% of the snaps in the year.
I don't think so. I don't think you potentially tank a season, to try to for a 4th or 5th round pick.
In their eyes, though, what if they're Sam Darnold and Baker are that close?
No, I get it. Yeah. I mean, in their eyes they are, but
here, let me read you something. This is a quote on Baker Mayfield. Here it goes. It says, he's got an edge to him. I like that. He's going to lead, and they're going to follow him. I didn't see a lot of pro-style football in his college tape. And if you're short, you have to be able to make up for it some way, somehow, and personality doesn't do that. I didn't think he was a great athlete. This guy is kind of like a pocket quarterback that is short with small hands, and that is what that's what I worry about. That is the offensive coordinator of the Carolina Panthers after the 2018 draft with Baker Mayfield. Those were his comments on Baker, which I think does not put Baker in a great position, because it's obvious he doesn't like short guys, and it's obvious that he doesn't want to play to Baker's strengths, which I think could, sadly enough, give Sam Darnold the edge. And look, you both know I'm not a Sam Darnold guy at all. I haven't been since the draft beforehand. But the offensive lines that he has played for at both the Jets and Carolina were atrocious. Sam Darnold has also been playing for 2 organizations that haven't helped him. And now, reading those comments and knowing that he said that after the draft, that's my only fear for Baker, is that he just won't be given a shot.
Well, okay, so let me because that's a good segue into saying basically the problem that they're going to have is for one, they're going to Darnold's is not an upgrade. Darnold's not better. We can all say that. I know what you're saying, but it's people doubted Baker. People doubted Kyler. I remember people saying Kyler's just too small. He's going to get crushed in his first year. It's so I don't necessarily think I would read in the 2018 stuff too much. I mean, I get what you're saying, but at the same time, this is, like I said, I still think this is a good offense. It's actually a good offense. It's a serviceable offense, whatever. And Baker has shown an ability to come in and learn a system or whatever, and quickly get it off the ground and take leadership of the locker room. So, and the other thing is look at it from the Carolina side. Did you see that Carolina is only having to pay I think it's $4 million of his contract, and the Browns are having to still pay 10 or 11. And like I said, and then you're not really giving anything up. 5th, or even if it's a 4th round pick, a 4th round pick, it's okay, you don't really necessarily want to give that up, but still, that's not they didn't give a 1st or 2nd or 3rd round pick, right? And 4th is conditional. So it's for Carolina, it's a brilliant move.
Yeah, it is. And they got Baker to essentially take a pay cut. So the other $3 million of his contract now is an incentive contract. So if he doesn't hit his marks in those areas, he'll only make, which still is good money, $14 million, $15 million, and the other 3 are all incentive laden. So, but no, I mean, look, it's obvious that I would say this: the positives are Baker has been the name time and time again associated with Carolina since the minute that all this came out. So it's obvious that they were trying to wait as long as they could, hoping the Browns would cut him hoping that nobody would take the bait and go for it. They don't give up much and they get him. And so I'm all for it. Again, I hope it's a great reset for him and he gets his opportunity to get through it all. I still find what Cleveland has done in the midst of the situation disgusting. If all the allegations aren't made against Deshaun, I understand why they make that move. I do. And I said that the minute that Deshaun said he wanted to be traded. If I'm Cleveland, you got to think about it. And that's not a diss to Baker. It's just Deshaun really is that good of a quarterback, in my opinion. But with all the allegations, it's a terrible decision in the midst of all the allegations. It's a terrible decision.
Well, I mean, that's like that. This is where I like my rant wanted to come in. By the way, before I get into my rant, I do want to read Swayze's in chat, and he said Panthers make the playoffs if they can get the locker room to follow him. Book it, mail it, send it to your mama. Yeah, like I mean, I don't necessarily disagree with that. I mean, I don't think they're going to win like a Super Bowl, but they can make the playoffs. But like where I got so frustrated today was like, there was a lot of Browns fans, and I'm not saying this is a majority or whatever. I'm sure it's a vocal minority that were like, "Oh, good riddance, man. Let him. He throws interceptions all the times and blah blah." And I was like, and like literally people calling quite like criticizing his character, and I'm like, guys, you are literally like this is Lincoln Riley levels of lack of self-awareness. Like. You were right now cheering for a quarterback who has over 20 plus sexual assault allegations against him, right? Like, what? Like, why? What is your point? Like, get to the point of telling me how like it justifies because he can throw a ball better. Like, I'm not going to sit here and argue that as much as I love Baker Mayfield, that as far as pure quarterback, he's better than Deshaun Watson. He's not. Deshaun Watson's better quarterback, but is Deshaun Watson ever going to play in the NFL again? Like at this rate, there's a very good chance that he might not, because if he gets, he's probably going to miss a season at minimum, sounding like maybe even 2. And if that happens, then the Browns may drop him, and then no team's going to want to touch him after that because he's going to be labeled a pariah for being a sexual predator. So it's like they're going to be left. The Browns have painted themselves into a corner, and it's like you can't like they did it. They did it themselves. Nobody helped them except the Browns. The Browns literally just drove themselves straight into this pit of terribleness, I guess.
So we'll finish off the Baker talk. Well, I say that. Troy, you had several thoughts. We kind of got stuck on one. Anything else on the Baker?
We went through a lot of them. But I like I've been saying, I've been a lifelong Carolina Panthers fan, like everybody else in Oklahoma. I'm just happy to see Baker finally there. So it's good stuff. It's good stuff. No,
that's awesome.
I'm just happy that he's gone. # free Baker. Yeah. It's time.
Closing question, just real quick. Troy, does Baker resurrect his career in Carolina?
No.
Jared, does Baker resurrect his career in Carolina?
I mean, did it ever? I mean, I don't know what you mean by resurrect.
Well, I mean, like this is his
public. You think about you saying by like basically public opinion?
No, I'm saying like, does he get a contract? Like, look, if
he'll get a contract somewhere.
That's what I'm saying. Like, does
he
does somebody say after this season? Does somebody say we want him as a starting quarterback for our team?
No.
That's what I'm asking, because that's where it's at right now. I mean,
he will get a contract.
Well, you say that, hang on. If he comes out and they make it to the playoffs, right? After what they won 4 games last season or whatever.
That's why I'm at. Is that going to happen? Is he going to resurrect his career as a starting quarterback in the NFL in Carolina? That's the question.
I mean, I don't know. I'd say it's more likely that he won't, because even if they make it to the playoffs, there's still some chance that they, want Matt Corral to be their future franchise quarterback or whatever.
Somebody else. I think if they make the playoffs, he's on a roster as a starting quarterback next year. That's my point.
Yeah, maybe it depends. I don't like. I don't keep up with like the QBs in the NFL enough, I guess, like on who's like, I know obviously Big Ben retired and all that. And, like it would be kind of cool if a team like the Buccaneers, where they like, I know that this is going to sound, I'm sure I'm going to have some Tom Brady person hit me on Twitter or something. But if like Tom Brady retired and then the Buccaneers picked him up, that'd be pretty cool. But,
Right.
I don't know that they would probably go with somebody other than Baker too. So
I have more faith. I'm saying that Baker will be picked up as starting quarterback after this season. I think he is going to ball out.
The revenge tour of Baker's going to happen. I think he's going to play well. I don't think he's going to play a full slate of games. I think he's going to get hurt, and or the Panthers, like if there's any ding, they're like, oh, I think Sam Darnold needs to play now. Like, you got a sore thumb. So,
see, I if it was a different situation, I'd agree with you. But if Matt Rule doesn't pull it out this year, he's gone. Like if he's rolling with a guy that's winning him games and he shuts it down, he loses his job and he's out of the NFL. That's why I think if Baker gets going, he's going to do it. And I'm going to say that he does. I just think that this is the type of situation that Baker thrives in, just like he did that first year in Cleveland. No one thinks we can win. No one thinks I'm any good. They don't think you're any good, and they rise above it. It's when he's kind of out in front, it's a little harder for him to play well. So I'll go with that.
And the other thing with Matt Rule, like I don't dislike Matt Rule by any stretch, but I've also seen people criticize how he's used like Christian McCaffrey, and like he's not utilized the players the way that some people think he should. Now, whether obviously they haven't had a ton of success since he's been in the NFL, but we'll see.
I'm a Rule fan personally, but I mean, again, it's tomato. Now, to get Troy even more fired up, we have had 2 summer league games so far for the Oklahoma City Thunder, who drafted 4 players this year. One being Twigman Chet Holmgren, right? We have J-Dub, J-Will, you have Usman Jang, all those guys there. Giddy even is there at the summer league. So Troy, this is what we miss on the podcast when you're not here. Jared and I definitely do not know or understand NBA basketball the way that you do. Troy, the floor is yours, sir.
Okay. All right. Here's the thing. Okay. Where do I start?
3 words, Troy. 3 words before you get going. It's summer league.
I know. We talked about this today earlier, D, and I kept saying that same phrase, but I can't help it. Even tonight, he's playing back-to-back in the altitude, and Chet had, in a bad game, 11 and 12, 2 blocks, 2 assists, plus 20 on the plus minus. In 2 games, he is a plus 46, y'all. A plus 46.
And after a terrible night shooting, he's still shooting 50% from 3 as well.
I will also say this. I think it's freaking hilarious when I hear people like, oh, what's he gonna do against the Embiids or the Jokic's of the world? I'm like, what does anybody do against the Giannis's of the world? Like, nobody stops him. That's why they're like 3 of the top 5 players in the world. Like,
right.
Like, he's gonna struggle. Yeah. By the way, my hair is wonderful tonight. It is rocking. Good job.
Really,
I'm digging it. I'm actually digging it. Yeah.
But what I am seeing right now from him is he is much more skilled than I thought he was coming from Gonzaga. And I think from Gonzaga, from that standpoint, people are like, oh, what was Mark Few doing with Chet Holmgren? I was like, I think Chet was deferring to the elder statesman more, right? To Timmy and those kind of guys. And so, but you're seeing his just ability on the floor. And the thing that everybody can talk about the Dirk one leg. Everybody can talk about the 3-point shots and the blocks and everything. You know what I am more impressed with is his basketball IQ, his pick and roll defense. When he drops on that pick and roll and they're coming downhill, they don't know what to do because he's able to slide his feet. He's not getting lost in the shuffle when he's guarding a guy on the perimeter that's smaller than him. And he is much more savvy on the defensive end and offensive end than I thought. He's much more basketball IQ than I thought he was going to be. I am so pumped. And here's where, like, Daryl, you and I talked about this, and I'm flipping the script on you. I don't know where. Is I do think they tank this year, but not because they don't try. I think they're going to try, and they want this core to get their playing time. I think what's going to happen is it's like, remember the first year with Katie and Russ? it didn't go well. They won like 35 games or whatever it was, right?
Mhm.
30, 35 games. I think the same thing is going to happen here where they're in a lot of games, but it's a learning season. I think next season is the year where they start to make a lot of noise. Not this coming season, but the season after that, right? I think there'll be late lottery this year, mid to late lottery this year after this coming season. But it's out of their growing pains, right? And I know we have an elder statesman in like the 23-year-old SGA on the squad, which will settle them down a little bit. But still, you're talking about a penned-in starters of Giddey, SGA, Chet, and Dort, and whoever the fifth is, Muscala or JRE or whoever, that's fine. There's going to be a lot of growing pains because the second unit is made up of first to second year players. And so the other thing, and everybody's starting to talk about it more, J-Dub, Jalen Williams, our number 12 pick, the kid from Santa Clara, 6'6", 7'2" wingspan. Oh my gosh. The dude is his basketball IQ. He's got an NBA body right now. He can put it on the deck. He can score from all three levels. He can cut. He plays really good defense, stays in front of his man, and he's got long arm. No, go watch the tape. He's playing really good defense. And the thing that I really like about these young kids is their defensive rotations are almost all on point so far in 2 games. Again, it's summer league, but these are fundamentals that usually they have to pick up, and they've got it. And so watching the JRE, who is like, I believe our generation of Nick Collison, he's more athletic. He's got a motor kind of like Draymond. I love him. Jang, you can see the ability. He had a better game tonight. Usman Jang did tonight than he did last night. Chet, obviously. Giddey is the youngest player on the floor. I'm sorry, I'm ranting. I apologize. Giddey was the youngest player on the floor outside of Usman Jang, and there is no reason he should be on that floor. He's better than everybody else. It's incredible watching him play and his passing, his vision. He's 6'8". I am so freaking pumped about the future of the Thunder. I know it's summer league. I'm now to the point where like I don't give a rat's butt now. Like, give me all of the Thunder, give me all the summer league, give me all these young guys. Oh,
well, did you see the deal where Chet, after the first summer league game, they tried to interview him by himself, and he said, "I'm not going to be interviewed unless you interview me with one of my teammates."
Yep.
So
he tried to get. Here's the thing. Daryl and I talked about this before. He was like, "Hey, look at the press conference. I think J-Dub. There's kind of like some body language there going on, but I think he doesn't like the media because he tried. If you watch that, he tried to pull J-Dub first, and J-Dub was out. He did not want to be interviewed, and then he grabs Josh, right? And so I love that. I think Chet is cocky as hell. I really do. I think he flows with that confidence, cockiness, and I think he's cocky as hell. I would be too at 7'1" that can play like a guard, right? Like, but at the same time, like, dude, like with his comment in that with Holly Rowe was like, I just set the record at 6. Oh, I'm going to get it tonight. He didn't, obviously, but that Kenny Lofton dude, he's got like 100 pounds on him. But in the second half, what did Chet do in the second half? He adjusted on the fly, and Kenny Lofton didn't do anything in the second half.
Well,
and trying to guard Chet out on the perimeter, he had like 5 or 6 fouls. They can get 10 in summer league, which is ridiculous.
By the way, Swayze pointed out I didn't watch the game today, but he says Josh flipped it tonight and wouldn't interview without Chet.
Did they really? I didn't see that. That's awesome.
Yes.
Which
it.
It's this is what's really funny about that, because like I actually saw Perkins was talking the other day about like somebody like basically asked him something about how he was the glue for the team whenever he was there with Russ and KD and all them. And he's like, honestly, he's like, I kind of filled that role of kind of being like the elder statesman, like the veteran guy that kind of try to keep all the young guns heads on right. And he was like, and he said, like, he's like, this organization right now is like without, they don't have that guy, because they're all that guy. Like, they're all very good teammates. They all get along. He said, he's like, every time I've ever been around that organization, he said that it's not like, he goes, the guys are going and hanging out together after practice or after the games. Like, they spend time together. He goes, that's not common in the NBA. So he's like, it's just a different organization. So I think it's things like that where it's like, I don't know what the season's going to hold. Like, I don't think that they're going to be, NBA champions this year. But at the same time, it's like I wouldn't put it out of the realm of possibility that they make it to the playoffs. I mean, they really could have probably made it to the playoffs last year if they had just tried. I mean,
yeah,
I mean,
they'd have been on the bubble.
Yeah. So they might be a playing team or something. I don't know, but
my overall on the chemistry side of things, this is something that we've seen Presti do since the day he took over the organization. Because if you even think back to the early days of Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook, there was a cohesiveness. There was a hanging out together. When KD left, you heard guys talk about that they went to team dinners and Russ made everybody turn their phone in. And if you didn't, and if you got on your phone during the meal, you paid for the dinner. So like there's something about what they do in their evaluations that they try to bring guys together that are like that in their mentality, right? That they've always done that.
Speaking of, we missed a golden opportunity. I think it was last week. We gave a shout, or maybe I don't know when it was. We gave a shout out to Russell recently when he did his dedication thing to
to the court
or whatever. But did you see? Maybe think of you're talking about Russ. Did you see where Skip Bayless called him Westbrook and Russ called him out on Twitter? They went back and forth on Twitter, and it was so good. It was so hilarious.
That's definitely Russ. As far as the team as a whole, I mean, look. The first night it's summer league and it was a bad summer league team they played. Again, Troy, knows this better. But for me, when I try to evaluate those things, how comfortable do they look, right? Do they look like they're pressing? Do they look in a comfort zone? Do they look athletic enough? That's the kind of things I look for. I don't maybe understand the intricacies of what they're trying to do as much, but those are things. And he was all of that and more. Smart headsy defense. Troy and I talked about the block with two hands he had where he just went straight up, which he's completely allowed to do rather than swatting at the ball and picking up a foul, which he would have done if he does that. There were little things like that. Like you said, the way he was defending pick and roll was really good. Dude, J-Dub tonight even, we talked about this. His numbers in catch and shoot 3-pointers was off the charts in college. And tonight he got one kicked to him on the wing. And I mean, as soon as he let it fly, it was like, that's good. I mean, that is a absolute comfort spot for him. And he is going to get a ton of those looks with Giddey, Dort, and SGA on the floor. Any combination of those, he's going to get
Chet,
those looks.
And Chet, you put those four. I think our best lineup after watching him after just 2 games, because he's 4 for 4 from 3 so far in 2 summer games. And by the way, the other thing that's going to notice is Chet hasn't missed a free throw yet.
Yeah.
He hasn't. Like, he's 100% of free throws. And so that is a big thing. Like, Russ went downhill in his free throw shooting. I mean, when Kevin was here, we were one of the best in the league in free throw percentage. It is a big deal getting those free points. So I really do think our best lineup next year is going to be the 4 pinned in and J-Dub. Mm-hmm. You go small, put Chet in there. Because our lineup is big enough. Like Giddey is 6'8". J-Dub is 6'6", 7'2" wingspan. Like, they're big enough to attack the glass as guards. And like Dort is a big muscly guard, right? Or small forward, whatever you want to call him. So I do think that's going to be our most fun lineup and easily our best offensive lineup. Those 5 out on the floor.
Well, I mean,
I would even lean toward, it will be very close between that lineup to me. And like you said, Chet, Muscala, Dort, Giddey, Shea, like that lineup is deadly because now you got 2 7-footers on the court, essentially. I think Muscala might be 6'11" instead of 7 foot, or is he 7 foot? I can't remember, but right in that range. And then 6'6", 6'8", 6'3" is the shortest on the court. And he's a freaking bulldog defender when he's locked in that way. One of those 2 will be very good. Dort 6'3".
He's that small. He's not that small, is he?
Let me look it up again.
Now we got no. All right.
Well, hang on. While y'all are looking,
you're
this
right.
up,
He's 6'3", 215. You're right.
Okay, so he got something right. Congratulations. Anyway, the other thing is, like, I think you have to look at it in the perspective of also, like, whenever the Thunder got SGA, I heard a lot of people that were like, "Oh, he seems like he's going to be really good," but like it was always kind of like he like his ceiling was going to be like a mid-tier level player, and it's like, dude, like honestly, right now it's like pretty evident that his ceiling. I'm not saying he is right now, but his ceiling is he could be one of the best players in the NBA, like top 5.
Troy and I fought about this when it was me and him doing the pod alone. We both went back and forth, and I say we fought. We ended up kind of agreeing. We didn't think that Shea maybe could carry a team on his own like that. We felt like there had to be another piece. But then you watch that year with CP there, and you watch the next year where they're going to the playoffs unless they sit Shea down and don't let him play. Like, dude, I am no longer in the camp that he's a 2 or 3 on a championship team. I think with the right team chemistry, he's a 1. Like, I really think he's that good because, again, this is 2 years in a row that he's twisted an ankle, because without that, they're going to make the playoffs. And this is not a roster that should be.
You want to know what I think they're like one of their Achilles heels is going to be when they start getting good is if Giddey cannot figure out a 3-point shot.
Yes.
I think that could be their Achilles heel because on the pick and roll, they'll just go under it and play off, and
right.
then they'll have to move them out and put the ball in Shea's hand, and then they can pull off of Giddey. That's my biggest thing. He's not near the level of like other defensive specialists that don't have a 3, right? He can still hit it. But like he didn't have a shot tonight. And then what did he start doing? He just adjusted, started going to the cup, and he still got that triple double tonight. Like the dude is, but that's where I think like it's a concern, but not my biggest concern. The other thing is when is the apex of your NBA career? When are you're your best? 29, 30, 31. That's your culmination of the peak of your NBA career. Dude, when you're talking about SGA and Dort are their oldest of the squad at 23, and
you're
we
6
got
years
them
away
locked
from
in
that.
until they're 28, 29. We got them locked in. And so and like I hope that we can keep J-Dub. I hope we can keep Chet. We can do all this, right? It is crazy to think of the ceiling that this team can get to. It is absolutely wild.
Well, that's my point. Is like I'm interested to see with Chet. Like obviously the summer league, like we've said, but like my point was like SGA. When we got SGA, nobody thought that he could be a top tier player in the NBA. I don't think, not many people at least. And then with Giddey, there was a lot of people that questioned the Giddey pick, right?
Oh, 100%.
And Giddey has proven that. I mean, I don't know if he's proven. I wouldn't say he's proven that he can be a top player in the NBA, but he's proven that he's a very valuable pick. Like he's got a very high ceiling. And so it's like, what are we saying about Chet? Because Chet's already showing out. So if he can go into the an actual NBA game and is still doing this, it's like, dude, that's 3 guys that I just listed, and that's not even. I mean, that's not the only ball players this team's got. That's why I say like this team could be scary good in a couple of years. About 2 or 3, give it about 2 years. Even if it's just like, even if you don't add anything to this team, even if they trade away all their draft picks or whatever, I don't know. Like they don't add anybody to this roster, in 2 years this team's scary.
I totally agree. And it's key. The next 12 months is so key on the development of the squad. Not just the development, but also the chemistry, because this is the squad for a while, right? Like they could trade away some picks or trade away some younger players to bring in some veterans. I don't really see them doing that this next year. They do still have a treasure trove. They gave up a lot for not really a lot for Ousmane Deng. And by the way, it's also come out that others, like they were in a bidding war with Cleveland at the 11 pick to get that, and they ended up getting it from the Knicks, and that he almost was picked at number 8, and I can't remember who was 8, but he was almost picked at number 8. So Ousmane Deng was a dude that was highly coveted there in the lottery, and you can see glimpses of it. He hit a couple threes tonight. You can see glimpses of it, but like what they have on the floor. Think about the tall lineup. Think about Chet and Jang and Giddey and SGA and Poku. Think about that tall twin towers, thin towers lineup. I mean, that is absolutely wild.
Now you're just trying to trigger me, Troy, and it's not cool.
I'm not. I think
Look,
it's very important.
let's be real. Hey, let's just call a spade right now. We traded up for a kid who weighed 60 pounds from Serbia or wherever he's from, and he is in his 3rd year in the league, and Josh Giddey looks like a 10-year veteran compared to him in basketball IQ, understanding, and skill. Like, look, man, like I'm still frustrated we traded up for Poku, but at the end of the day, you took a chance on a kid who does show skills within the game. Like, he is 7 foot and he does show skills, but he doesn't know what he's doing. And he has not gotten any better. And in 3 years, I don't think he's gained half a pound. So whatever diet plan he's on ain't working. And it's time to move on. Don't start going down that. And I know you did that just to get me on a rant. And I don't care, because the people who need this information, the 2 that are listening to this podcast right now, Poku is not a part of this future. He is not a piece in there other than trying to convince someone else that he's still got ability and you can trade him for maybe a pick somewhere down the road. And it's probably a 2nd round pick at this point. Like, that's all it is. Now, still all those other pieces, by the way, Jang has impressed me more and more, but his shot's got to come a long way. But he's got a feel for the game, which is really fun to watch, and he's definitely athletic.
By the way, and I just want to, since you're slandering our listeners, Sunshine and Swayze are both in chat. So
I said 2 people.
Yeah, well, you did say 2 people. So there's others, but anyway, yeah. I mean, like I said, this team's could be really good. They've got, that's the thing, is like you were kind of saying, Troy, like they have such a toolbox to build lineups based on whoever it is they're playing. And like, it's not like you're going to see a drop off because you have to play, you know what I mean? Like, everybody's like, you've got so many serviceable guys. Like, it's just insane. And the crazy part of this is usually when a team's in this position, they don't have any draft equity going forward. Right. And the Thunder are sitting on more draft picks than everybody else combined. Like, it's insane. You know, so, and that's what, like, I've seen people that have been trying to, like, you know, all these trade, you know, hypotheticals of like, oh, you package up like a bunch of picks and send, you know, Dort somewhere or whatever. You know, it's like things like that are definitely, like, I just don't see them doing that. And like, it was really cool to see, like, they even picked up, like, the Thunder do cool things. Like, they, I don't know what the correct terms were, but they denied Dort's, or didn't claim Dort's option and then just re-signed him so like he could get more money that way or whatever. It's like they do things like, I think that they've, like, the one thing that Presti and that front office have done really well. I know this is a little off the path here, but it's like they've built a franchise that people know that, like, they're a high character franchise, right? Like, they're going to, they even, I don't, there was somebody else that I saw that they literally gave them a contract and then cut them, but basically so they could get some pay or whatever. Like, they do.
Roby this year.
Was it? Yeah, it was Roby. So they do those sorts of things, and it's like, and that's what's kind of the genius of that is, like, especially now, NBA players all talk to each other, right? So if somebody goes to, I don't know, the Sixers or whatever, and the Sixers treat them like trash and then cut them and just leave them, you know, high and dry, it's like that gets around, just like the Thunder doing the right thing gets around. I'm not saying the Sixers did that. I'm just, you know, picking a franchise at random, but yeah, so there's
no doubt that Presti and the front office have a very respected name amongst the game and amongst the players. The biggest thing is still just trying to convince players to come to Oklahoma City.
You saw the flip in that. You saw a little bit of flip in the draft this year. Where did everybody talk about? All the top 10 players, everybody talked about they were fans of growing up. They wanted to go to that place. It was OKC. Everybody was talking about, outside of Paolo, who's from Seattle. So yeah, that I'll give you a pass on that one, Banchero. Like, right. I get it. But by the way, how wild was that draft? Did not expect Banchero to be the one pick. No. And even when it started flipping the night before, Vegas flipped the odds and then turned off the odds because it's like something's going on here. And and then Banchero becomes the first pick. Then everybody's like, oh, the Thunder are going to draft Jabari. Yeah, there's no question.
Right.
And then they're like, nah, we got our guy. It's almost like Presti. I believe this. Presti would have picked Chet number 1 if they had the first pick. I think he's been his guy for the last 5 or 6 years. He's known about him. We watched him in high school, watched him in Gonzaga. He has been following this dude for a long, long time. So watching all that play out, the most fun part of the draft after we got Chet was we traded for 11, and we're like, awesome. Surely the 12 pick was part of that. Nope, we get the 12 pick as well. And you're like, what is going on? What is happening?
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. Like we talked about last week. I was like, they were like, oh, the Thunder have, made a trade for the 11th pick. And I was like, okay, we had the 12th pick. What are you doing? You know what I mean? I was so pissed off. I was like, you literally have one. You what are you doing? You moved up one spot. This is stupid. And then they were like, oh, then they're picking 12. And I was like, what? What happened?
Everybody assumed that it was just a moving up.
The best thing was, like, I don't know if you saw, there was I don't remember who all was there, but there was a bunch of like the New York people at the New York Knicks facility or whatever, and they were all like, oh my god, like you could just see people being like, what did we just do?
Dude, the Knicks completely botched whatever they were trying to do in that draft.
It was a great deal, and to your point too, Daryl, about wanting to bring guys to OKC or convincing guys to come to OKC. Like they've kind of already done that. Like Chet and even a few others had said, like, I would love to go to OKC before the draft. Like it wasn't like they said that because they got drafted by OKC. It's like, no, they were like, no, I'd love to go there. And it's like,
well, that's what Troy and I talked about this. It's this generation, but that's the thing. You're still 5 to 7 years away from this really being an impactful thing, because it's all these guys right now that grew up watching Russ and KD and Harden and that whole crew play together. So through that, they became fans. They saw the fan base. They saw Thunder Alley. They saw so there's this attachment. But what I'm saying is, if you tried to go trade right now, for instance, like a Damian Lillard, he might say no just because it's Oklahoma City. He has no attachment. He doesn't care. Damian Lillard's memories of Oklahoma City is saying, Dame time to, nighty night to Russell Westbrook to go to the playoffs, right? Like, so that's the difference. Paul George didn't necessarily want to come to Oklahoma City per se. He gave it a run because he wanted to win, but he also already had an agreement with Presti. Hey, if it doesn't work out, we'll get you to LA. You see what I'm saying? So, this class coming up, they are okay with coming to OKC, I think, in free agency.
Well, and the other thing is like, people kind of forget this. Like, Oklahoma City is one of the faster growing cities in the country, right? And it's now number 20. It's in the top 20 largest cities in the United States. It's like, I'm not gonna say that Oklahoma City's the highest society city of all the NBA franchises or whatever. It's like, it's not. But at the same time, it's like, it's an up and coming city. It's not a Detroit, right? Like, it's not a city that's falling apart or in decline. It's very much on the rise. So I think things like that, not that it's going to matter to an 18-year-old kid, but it's like, as time goes on, I think that's less and less of an issue because of how the growth has been in the Oklahoma City area.
So you know what is less and less of an issue is OU recruiting.
There we go.
That was a perfect segue.
You're welcome, Daryl. That's how you do transitions, not what you did earlier. Whatever that was trash.
Yeah,
that's how you do a transition.
Oh my gosh! Anyway,
it was like watching. It was like watching like a baby giraffe or something, like trying to walk. Like it was just so awkward. It's just so awkward, man.
Anyways, so yes, for all of you that have been complaining and moaning and saying that this staff cannot recruit, well, July 4th, you found out they can recruit, as the Sooners did pull in a commitment from a linebacker out of Pennsylvania, Phil Picotti. And then tonight, this afternoon, Jaquez Petaway, a 4-star wide receiver, commits to Oklahoma, and he is ranked number 47 overall nationally in the 247 composite. So not only that, but also today the Sooners made the top 3 for Troy Bowles, who is the number 3 linebacker in the entire class. So look, things are on the uptick, right? Like we are moving in the right direction. So everyone, again, we've been saying this now for 3 straight podcasts. Calm down. If we get to December on signing day and we've got the 18 ranked class, we can talk about it, right? But at this point right now, calm down, know that they're in on guys, and let's see what happens. And don't forget, as the season plays out, certain teams that are selling all the hype in the world, when they start falling apart, USC, other teams, they might start changing their tune of where they want to go. Okay, so just slow it down. But all I have to say, any thoughts on Picotti and any thoughts on Petaway for you guys? Oh my goodness. Yes, we're going to get to that.
We're going to get to that. Picotti is, he's a chef's kiss, like I got to do the Italian thing. But no, I like him. I mean, I watched this film and it's like, dude, he's pretty good. So it was a good pickup. And like I said, I'm far be it from me to question Brent Venables when it comes to linebackers, because that's his bread and butter. That's his thing. So if he likes him, I like him. And then the Petaway, like, looks just to be like an absolute weapon. And people also, he was the other school that was really like seemed like may even be leading at certain points was Texas.
Right.
So, to be able to pull him is pretty huge. And it's like, it shows again that it's not just because, like, I've even seen people being like, well, even if they do good recruiting, it's only going to be the defensive side of the ball. It's like, no, it's not. Like, you think Lebby, like, people don't want to play for Lebby? Like,
yeah,
what are you talking about? So, but yeah, Petaway looks like a weapon. And then, like you said, with Troy Bowles, it's like, yeah, the chances of landing him are extremely small. Right. But the like you were to your point, where I could see, I know this is a long shot, but if Brent comes out and has a very good defense this year and has a linebacker guy that ends up like on the Butkus award list or something, he just turns somebody into a monster like he did with.
Right.
And it's not out of the realm possibility. I mean, you had Teddy Lehman and Rocky Kalmus and Rufus Alexander, all these guys that tutelaged under Venables that were complete and total animals in college. If he does something like that, then yeah, I could see him laying on some guys like that. Like Bowles, if Bowles sees that he takes somebody and makes him into a monster in his first year, yeah, he's going to start lining up linebacker recruits like it's his business. So,
yeah, for sure. Troy, any thoughts?
I want to see more. Like, we've had a couple of commits in the last few days. I just want more. Give me more of it. Right.
Yeah.
And like Daryl, you were plugging in like what could happen if some of these stars gets plugged in and everything like that. I think everybody needs to chill the frick out. What did Texas get? They got Archbanning. They get some of these four-star recruits after that. Whatever. Tell me again who won Elite 11 and who is kind of like vaulting up the quarterback list.
Jackson Arnold.
Where's he committed? And where's he committed at?
Yeah, that's Oklahoma.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I heard he actually plays in a competitive football league too.
Oh man, dude, there was a whole space today. By the way, there was a whole Twitter space today called Archanon. It was a total play off the QAnon deal, and they were going through his basketball stats and how people write up how he's a good basketball player that averaged 3 points a game and 1 rebound, and all the different things. They were looking up his stats from his state championship game and how bad they were. I mean, it was this whole thing that there's this behind-the-scenes conspiracy to make Archbanning this great quarterback. Well, it was amazing.
It's like Jim Schraber saying he's great at baseball.
Well, so here's the funniest thing I've seen so far about the whole Arch thing. And like, let me clarify. Like, I like Archbanning doesn't seem like a bad kid or whatever. Like, I'm not trying to bash him or whatever. But it's funny because when you watch this film, though, it's like, dude, it looks like he's playing against junior high teams.
Yeah.
Like, it looks like he's playing, literally playing against junior high level squads.
And it's not just that one clip that was resurfacing and going across all the whole internet. It's other ones. You go look at other ones.
No, I'm talking about what you're talking about. Go look at his highlight reel, and it's like every highlight that he has is against a 5'3" defensive end or whatever. It's like it doesn't make any sense. But I did see somebody put on a deal, and I showed this to Daryl at the cookout that you weren't invited to. that it was a picture of Devontae Adams at his camp, and he had a bunch of like 5-year-olds or whatever that were there, and they were all trying to do like two below him, and he was just running around him, like running circles around him. It's like this looks like Archbanning's film.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. that
So
one was
anyway,
great.
but yeah, the Texas is like trying to they always it's like okay, claiming your national title in May or June or whatever in Texas. Name me a better duo, right?
But that's apropos. That's what they do. They do this every single year. Every national media props them up. Look at all their recruits. Look at their recruiting class. We're back, baby. I don't know why they went into a Trump monologue
Voice?
here, but I did.
Oh,
but
my
we
gosh.
get the
all
best.
that
We get the
means-
best recruits. I don't know why I was like an Italian Trump.
This is going off the rails, but that's what Texas does.
Yeah. This is
and
bad.
then they get butthurt whenever we do this. It's like why do you think like you are the laughingstock of college football?
No,
Yeah, like
it's not good.
I
mean, recruiting is big. We all know it. We all celebrate our classes, et cetera, et cetera. But until Texas proves that they can develop anybody, they should not be taking victory laps about how incredible. I mean, somebody actually just posted today how many different recruiting classes people have been like, they're going to win a national title by the time they graduate. They will do this by the time. And it's like, none of it has worked. The behind the scenes culture is the problem at Texas. It's not the recruits and it's not the talent. It's the behind the scenes culture that is there.
And that's like, it's literally like, it's not like taking a year in a vacuum and saying, okay, like they just didn't develop it this year. It's like, dude, this has been the problem. This has been your problem for a dozen years now. Since 2009 or whatever it was when you went to the national championship, you've literally had this exact same problem. You land the top recruiting classes and do nothing with it. Like, and that's what's funny is somebody even posted a deal about it's like the last like 5 quarterbacks that Texas has recruited, and they're all like 4 and 5 stars. Like they're all highly touted. Everybody's savior of, the Texas Longhorn program. And it's like, and then what's cracks me up is they're all like foaming at the mouth about Quinn Ewers too. And I was like, dude, like that guy is cancer is all he is. Like, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it.
So
We'll see what, I mean, he's still got a
thing.
shot, but
Here's the thing. Like what happens when Texas, look at their schedule.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to lose to Bama, right?
Mm-hmm.
They will be favored to lose against us. We will be favored against them, right?
Should, yeah.
More than likely. Start the preseason. We'll be favored in probably every game we play on our schedule, right? In the Vegas. Say they lose to us. Maybe they lose to at Lubbock or something like that. If they've got 3 losses going into mid-October, what is their MO? They're quitters. They quit. People will start having injuries and they can't play. Oh, they're starting their right side of their offensive line is out. They're starting linebackers out. Oh, Bijan opting out for the second half of the year so he can get his NFL stock up, right? Like that's the crap that Texas does. And it goes back to what you guys are both talking about. It's a mentality problem. Right. It's a culture problem at Texas. This is what they do. They are the school of entitlement more than USC, more than A&M, more than Miami. They are the school of entitlement. And what does entitlement get you? Crap, nothing.
Did you see? I know I sent to Daryl, I believe. Did you see the tweet that a recruit put out that said, "I don't want you to take my picture with a Lamborghini. I want you to show me how I'm going to fit in your system."
Yeah. How are you going to get me to the NFL? I don't care about the money now. How are you going to develop me so I can get to the NFL? So I can make money for me and my family for generations. How are you going to do that?
Yeah,
Texas
because
doesn't do that.
And this is like a good way. Actually, I was talking to somebody about this today, and they said like, yes, with the way NIL is right now, like you can make enough money that you can be rich. Like you can be rich right now in college as a college athlete. But if you want generational wealth, you have to go do that in the pros. Like,
Here's the thing: you can't be rich unless you're a top flight wide receiver, like a 5-star wide receiver,
but
especially a 5-star quarterback. Outside of that, you're only getting $40,000 or $50,000 a year. That's it.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, like Bijan literally has a Lamborghini, right? Like Bijan's getting the hookup, right? Like Bijan.
Well, Bijan is also probably the best player in college football. Can we all agree with that?
Yeah. No, honestly, it's.
You okay. Who would you say is better than him in talent?
The edge rusher from Alabama.
You're
Wilson.
talking about because I thought you were gonna go CJ Stroud.
I don't know. I mean,
No.
that's a good argument.
Bijan's the
I
best
def-
running back. He's the best running back in college football. I'll give Bijan that. But yeah, I mean,
Like,
that
and what's
Alabama
funny-
kid, dude's a different breed. But all that to say, we got to stop talking about Texas. We got to stop. Because we've given them 6 minutes. I want to come back to our stuff and what we're doing here, right? Again, 3-star / 4-star linebacker and a 4-star wide receiver, which, by the way, if you're asking, like Jared said it really well, Petaway is a weapon. If you go look at his tape, he's everything we were hoping Charleston Rambo could become, right? Whereas Charleston Rambo, what we learned was if you need him to turn any direction whatsoever, it's going to take a really long time, and he's not very capable of doing it. Petaway runs incredible routes, and he has got speed for days. That dude can fly. And when you think about Levy and wanting to stretch the field, it's going to be a problem. And Troy brought up Jackson Arnold did win the Elite 11. I mean, which was huge. There were recruiting. Parker Thune actually said at one point that there's probably not a chance of him winning it. And part of the reason for that is I didn't know this. So the Elite 11 staff, when they evaluate those guys throughout those 3 days, 50% of their grade is film from their junior season. So actually 50% of their grade is that. So Jackson Arnold going into that whole thing was like the 6th or 7th quarterback, like in the class this season. So you kind of felt like he was so far behind Malachi and some of those others that he wouldn't be able to make it up there. And instead he overtook all of them through the week, right? Which was just incredible. And I mean, I read Rivals write-ups. I read the 247 write-ups. I read On Three's write-ups. I never saw Jackson Arnold lower than 4th on anybody's deal from start to finish. The only publication that ripped Jackson Arnold was Sports Illustrated. They had him as the 13th ranked quarterback at the Elite 11, which, okay, like every single publication's bragging him up except for that one. This class is going to come together really well. And like we talked about earlier, everybody right now that we're predicting to get the Caden Green, the so forth, so on, if everything stays pat as it is right now, this class is the 4th ranked class in the nation. So again, things are going to change and move, but literally if you compare them to Texas, who has 18 commits right now, if everybody that we're predicted to get comes through up to 18, we are 2.5 points behind them in the rankings for the 4th spot. This class is going to come together. It's going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of a top 10 class. It's going to be a very, very good class. OU is just fine.
Well, and so I also want to say real quick, because, there's a lot of stuff that's going in right now on campus. Like they're building a ton of new facilities. And they're honestly going to need, like, there's going to be doors into these facilities. They're probably going to need a lot of door stops. So I feel like we're going to have to just line up another Heisman. So if anybody didn't see that, the Barry Switzer tweet of him, he basically said, he's like, I know it's arrogant, but we at Oklahoma, we have so many Heismans, we use them as door stops.
Yes.
And then
he
he
had a
posted
picture of it right by his front door.
That was a wonderful tweet.
Yeah.
The
Barry,
king,
I
dude.
love Barry. Dude, I love Barry. But yeah, dude, it's such a culture thing that he's like, that's what's great about seeing BV being here, is because, like, you can tell that he's brought Barry back in a much bigger way than he was under Muleshoe.
Okay. So I've got a question for both of you. In your opinion, or experts, y'all are experts, right? Sure, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Who else do we get in the month of July?
The month of July, I think you're going to get Caden Green. I think is a almost for sure.
I think you probably already
list.
I think Caden Green you probably already have, in the sense he's probably a silent commit, but
yes,
there's so much. There's been so much smoke to that fire for so long.
Yeah. Dalen Smothers is another one, the running back out of South Carolina, North Carolina, one of those.
Mm-hmm.
I think he ends up in this class. I'm trying to think. Logan Howland is a guy that just announced that he's about to commit, an offensive lineman. 3-star, 6'7", 280 that we're about to land. I think we're going to get him. And then Derek LeBlanc is another one who is one of the highest rated D linemen in the class out of the state of Florida. Is another one that I think that you'll get by the end of the month. I think those 4 or 5 are very almost certain that are going
And
to end up. The one
and LeBlanc is
he's real
good.
deal. Yeah,
he's
I mean,
good.
like I've been saying this all along. If you land Caden Green, and then the other guy, offensive line, Peyton Kirkland is another one that it seems to be trending to OU. You get Kirkland, you get Caden Green, offensive line wise. That's SEC offensive line. If you get LeBlanc, there is some smoke too. That David Hicks is a guy that is very high on OU, but we're not. I mean, it's not for sure, but they're there. They're in the hunt. And then another guy, I still don't know how to say his last name. It's like Adbawar, something like that. Defensive end guy. He's a top 100 kid. You get those 3 and those 2, you are building SEC trenches. Now you're putting together SEC trenches.
So that's the beautiful thing. What did Lincoln do? And I was talking this about over 4th of July at the party I had to go to because I wasn't invited to yours. But Muleshoe, he recruited from the outside in, right? He was glitzy, he was glam. That was, makes sense why he went to USC now, to La La Land. But like quarterbacks, skill positions, the back end of the defense, and went this way, right? Mm-hmm. What is Brent doing? He's doing this. He's going to the trenches and building out. And so I say that asking, like, we got Petaway now, right?
Right.
Great wideout. But we've been like slowly getting the top tier skill position guys, right? So do you think if we have a big year this year under Levy, do you think we start getting more and more like higher ranked of the skill positions and everything next year during the 2024 class?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think regardless of it being Levy, you're going to see that, right? But yeah, I mean, I think so. I mean, people are obviously going to wait and see to see what's going on. But the thing that OU, like, the one thing that I'll give Lincoln is he didn't leave the program in shambles, right? Like, it didn't leave it where it was like they hadn't done anything in 5 years, right?
He tried. I'll give him that. He tried.
Yeah. I'm not trying to. Trust me, I'm not a Lincoln Riley fan, but at the same time, it's like they've been successful for a long time. So a lot of the kids that right now are looking around that are getting recruited, like you were just saying earlier about with the Thunder, it's like they witnessed Baker Mayfield, they witnessed Joe Mixon, they witnessed Sanaje P. Ryan. Like those are the guys that they grew up watching. As weird as it is to say, but that's what they know. So you already have a product and you already have a brand that you're going to be able that Levy's going to be able to sell and leverage. But yeah, if he goes out and dominates, or just has a good season, with his offense, yeah, like you're going to start seeing some stuff roll in.
Levy,
I think offensive line.
Levy has not gotten beat by a Lincoln offense since he was coordinator at Ole Miss.
Yeah, that
He's
is
always
correct.
had the better offense.
But Troy, here's what I would say. I would say offensive line wise, you're going to see I believe if the offense rolls this year, you're going to see very high caliber offensive linemen want to play in the system because the blocking schemes and some of the things they do translates to the NFL very well. I think quarterback, you're going to be fine. My concern, and running back, I think you're going to see some big time running backs start coming in the system as well. My bigger fear, I don't think in the next few years you're going to see 5-star wide receivers come into this offense. And the reason being for that is if it's true to the Art Briles kind of offense, which is where it comes out of, the route tree is very thin. So when you see, that's why if you really go through that litany of all those years where Baylor was just blowing stuff up and doing so well, and even Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin, right? I can't remember that dude's now. They had that little slot receiver, right? Like 2 years ago that was supposed to be a big time player in the NFL. I cannot remember his name. Oh my gosh. Anyways, I think he went to the Jets. All I have to say, he has not panned out. He has not been successful at all in the NFL, and in large part because his route tree is not developed within this system. So I think what you will see is great athletes that are lower tier, but that still put up huge numbers in college because of the system, if that makes sense. Now, this is the first time that Levy is going to have full control as well, right? Like he's always been kind of handcuffed by Heupel. He's been handcuffed by Lane Kiffin. So it'll be interesting to see what he does with it. Does he take those principles and move it out? I mean, like, for example, again, Lincoln came out of the Mike Leach tree, right? Which you don't run the ball ever, right? Now, granted, Bob Stoops put that into him a little bit, but Lincoln does run the football, maybe not as consistently as you like, but he runs it 1,000 times more than Mike Leach does. So that's his twist on the offense, if that makes sense. So we'll see what Levy does. But I think the trenches and running back and quarterback are going to be just fine as long as he's around and it keeps putting up points.
Fair enough.
That's what I think. So,
By the way, real quick, just because before we get too far, because I do want to mention this because I know this Troy might want to say something. Mayo in chat says, I'm worried for Chet. What Lofton Jr. did to Chet worries me for what's going to come against real NBA players.
Okay. All right. So here's the thing. We have got to stop comparing him to big bigs, right? There's not a lot of people like Lofton in the NBA period right now. Like, there's just not. Everybody struggles against the Embiids of the world, of the Jokic's of the world, right? Everybody does. And if you go look at Lofton's college tape, he's doing the same thing to bigger boys, a lot bigger boys. That dude is a train coming at you. What did he do in the second half? The thing that I was most impressed with is in the second half, he made that adjustment. Lofton didn't do crap in the second half. And so that's what I was really impressed with. And he tried to do it, but Chet stood his ground. And so he was like, all right, so this is it. This is what I got to do. I'm not worried about it. Like I was like, all right, yeah, he's slender. He's Poku times 2. I'm not worried about it. Honestly, and I'm going so out on a limb. This is so stupid. I'm going to say this. He is KD and Dirk and Rudy Gobert had a baby. Like that is Chet right now. I'm so freaking on the Chet train right now. Like I am beyond like he is going to be an all-star in year 2. Book it.
Well, and like, look, Troy and I talked about this today too. I understand what that guy's talking about because, yes, when Lofton got down low, he did kind of bully Chet at times. But here's the deal. No one in the NBA right now is going to be okay with shooting nothing but 2-point shots. They're just not, because the 3-point game is such an influencer in the game. So while, yes, that's going to happen some in these early years until he develops physically a little bit more, but no one's going to do, like, there are no Shaqs in this league anymore. Like that player does not exist.
Well, it's. I mean, you're looking at. It's even hard for even somebody, you know, that's. I mean, has watched basketball as long as I have, to not, you know, like I remember the days of, like you said, having Shaq and having, you know, it was like when Shaq went to the Lakers, it was like they were just so formidable because he was just such a big powerhouse down in the paint. He was just a big dude. It wasn't like he couldn't move worth crap. Like he moved as fast as a battleship, right? But that's not how it is anymore. The big guys now really aren't that way. Like even Embiid's athletic, right? Like he's a big dude. He's a big dude, but the guy, he can move, right? And that's the thing. And so, yes, I get what you're trying to say, but like with Lofton, it's like, yeah, like if you're gonna get down and try to say, oh, well, he's just gonna hammer him physically down in the paint, it's like, that's just not a common scenario in the NBA anymore. Like it's not to the same extent.
2 things. The best way to get into a shot blocker and to get your shot up in the paint against a shot blocker is to go right into their chest. That's how you do it. You go right into the chest, pop them out, make them move back, and then you get your shot up. That's how you deal with a shot blocker. The second thing is those, like just J-Rod, what you were just saying, you're 100% right. The Shaqs, the David Robinsons, the Hakeem Olajuwons, Patrick Ewings, they are not in this game anymore. Period. Because what happens with those people when they go into the pick and roll, they isolate them against a Steph Curry, they're toast now in today's game. Mm-hmm. Chet and this next year's kid, the wanna whatever, dude, is like they are the next gen of the big. And because Chet can guard those guys when they're isolated on the pick and roll, there's going to be very, very few guys that he can't guard out on the perimeter.
Right. Yeah,
this is the next gen, and Presti got ahead of it. He's here.
Yeah.
He's got the next gen. So here we go. Like, let's see how this goes.
100%.
So, and
I'm with you on
you
that.
know, and to realign ourselves back into the flow, college football realignment.
And you called my transition awkward. Wow.
It was purposely awkward. Okay.
My goodness.
I think I killed Troy. So anyways, but no, conference realignment. So obviously OU and Texas, everybody's known for a long time, is going to the SEC at some point in the near future. Then it came out, was it, I think it was late last week, maybe, that USC and UCLA are both going to the Big Ten. And that's already been confirmed, from my understanding. And
voted in and everything. Yep.
Yeah, so they're going to the Big Ten. Effective immediately?
No,
2024.
2024. Okay. And then you also have now you have the Big 12, and there's all kinds of rumors about who's going to end up where. Basically, the Pac-12 is going to die. Like, you're not going to convince me that's not going to die. And if it does survive, it's going to be a group of 5 conference, right?
Yeah.
They're going to have to like pick up like Boise State and whoever. But yeah, the rumor now is that the Big 12 is going to pick up Utah, Oregon, Arizona State, and I think Colorado, and I think Oregon State now, as somebody said.
Haven't heard that one.
So yeah, I mean, they're basically going to pick up the top tier programs, and I know people are like Oregon State, but it's like, dude, Oregon State gets a lot of that Nike money too, actually. So, you know, it's a crazy world we live in, because it's like you're going to have 3. It's kind of funny. We were just talking about this before, but you're going to have the Big 12 is actually, if they can land that, it's like, dude, that's actually good for the Big 12. Like, that'll actually make them a legitimate conference. And the Big 10 is going to have at least brand wise, is going to have a lot of clout now. And then you're also going to have obviously the SEC doing what it does. Now the ACC is the one that's kind of the outlier as far as the Power 5 conferences, because I'm not even going to consider the Pac-12, because like I said, it's probably going to be dead. So it's like, I honestly, the more I've been thinking about it, I still think that the ACC, like what's valuable out of the ACC, is just going to eventually get absorbed into the SEC. I think like Clemson, Florida State, Miami, and who else is in there that would be maybe like Pitt or somebody get absorbed into the SEC.
So if I'm OSU, I don't care what the Big 12 is doing. If I can somehow get in that added teams on the SEC, I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm getting out of the Big 12. I'm talking to the SEC commissioner I'm calling every single day, because if they're going to add Florida State, Miami, and Clemson, which is smart by the SEC to do that, and add you need a 4th. My opinion is OSU is your best bet. It's the 4th.
Mm-hmm.
The big problem though is what's going to be fascinating is what wins out. And what I mean by that is the SEC has added football, right? Like, granted, OU is good at baseball, softball, blah, blah, blah. Texas is too. But at the end of the day, they have the brand of the SEC and its TV contracts and the revenue they're trying to build by expanding the conference is all built around name brands and quality athletic programs. Does that make sense? Whereas the Big 10 is going for television sets. They bring in UCLA and USC because there was no way they were going to come without each other, but they just picked up the LA TV market. They already have the New York TV market because of Rutgers being in their conference, which when they added Rutgers, they're like, what are you doing? Why would you add Rutgers? Because they want the New York TV market. You have the Chicago TV market. You have they have probably the top 4 or 5 TV markets in their base, and they are coast to coast. They're a national brand. So what's funny to me anyway, I think that the Big Ten has been playing chess while everyone else has been playing checkers, because they've been trying to see what's the best move from a football standpoint. Well, that all ebbs and flows. Alabama's gone through its down years. The SEC went through a total conference downtrend when the Big 12 was on top for like 10 years. But when you have TV markets, those don't go anywhere. LA's TV market isn't going anywhere. New York's TV market isn't going anywhere. Chicago's TV market's not going anywhere. Their money's going to keep rolling, and it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out for the long term down the stretch. But it's a brilliant move by the Big Ten.
Yeah, I mean, and like look at USC and UCLA. They both have a giant alumni bases. They both have a large fan base, even if they don't show up to their games. But they have a large following. You just, like you said, just not even taking out the market. It's just the nationwide. That's a brand. You say USC, somebody knows who USC is. That if they have any passing familiarity with college athletics, yeah, barely. But or UCLA, same way. It's like those are two brands that are nationally known. They're it's
USC's a blue blood. It's okay to say USC's a blue blood.
Yeah,
I was going to get to that, but we transitioned.
Yeah, no, we're gonna get to that, because I was gonna say the Big 12 conference is a massive joke because their preseason team. Did you see?
Well, but hold on. But for real, with all the realignment stuff, we've obviously been super excited about the SEC move, but ultimately now seeing 16, 18 teams in the Big Ten, seeing what sounds like it's going to be 16, 18 teams in the SEC. Is this good for college football? Is it good for college sports that this is happening overall?
I'm indifferent to it, because I think, back when there was the conference realignment, what was that now? Like when, Missouri and Colorado and whoever else left the Big 12, Texas A&M. Like, I remember when all that shuffling was going around with teams and the Big 10, the Pac-12, and everybody was just shuffling and adding teams. Everybody's like, oh, this is terrible. Like, there's no loyalty to a conference and all that. And it's like people were complaining. It's like, and honestly, college football is bigger than it's ever been since that point. So, I mean, I'm not saying that I prefer it this way, but
but here's the deal. The reality is in the last 7 years, college football is at its worst point. It has gone down the last 7 years in its viewership and its impact. From a media standpoint, it has been declining for 7 straight years, which is right around the time.
The playoffs have not gotten the viewers that ESPN thought it would.
Well,
no, because it's become regionalized. It's Alabama and Georgia, those kinds of teams every year, and everybody knows it. You don't have the West Coast involved. And that's why I say it was a little bit brilliant by the Big Ten, because this pulls in the West Coast into their kind of base a little bit. But until USC or UCLA start having an impact on the actual outcome, no one on the West Coast is going to watch. The only fan bases that watch right now are the Southeast. That's it. And a little bit of the Midwest. You don't have the East Coast involved. You don't have the West Coast involved. Like, you don't have the Southwest involved. It's the same thing with baseball. Baseball is all Anaheim and Dodgers and Boston and New York. St. Louis is the only Midwest market that constantly pulls in viewership. So it's become a regionalized sport, and it's not nationally known.
The Rangers would like a word with you.
The Rangers don't have a base. Nobody watches. They're terrible.
But here's my point. Because I agree with what you're saying, but at the exact same time, like, it's like when you go further west, right? Like from west of Oklahoma, right? Outside of Oregon, what team in the last 10 years has had any success that far, like out west?
Right.
Like nobody. Like, and I don't even talk about success of like reaching a national championship game or a playoff. I'm just talking about pretty much in general, right? Like Utah, maybe you could say Utah was last year. They went 10 or 11-2 or whatever they were. Like, they were a really good team. But it's like outside of like, and Oregon has had some success here and there, obviously. Outside of that, like, nobody's done anything. So like it's not even just a region thing. All half of the country has basically been dead to college football for a better part of a decade.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So it's become a regional sport, and that's what's hurting it. And I think it's only going to move more that way with the realignment.
But my point though is that if you have a team, like if you have, much as I don't want to say this, USC or UCLA, they end up turning out to be good, right? Like those become prominent teams again, or high performing teams. You're going to start seeing it grow out west, like not just in California, just you'll see it grow further out that way. It's just like it's kind of died on the vine sort of thing to this point because nobody's been good. So in Oregon, like I don't even want to put Oregon in that because Oregon's got its own little bubble in Oregon, right? Like they're
Oregon's new money.
Yeah.
So that's the problem with them. That's a good point.
And UCLA, by the way, I still don't understand the UCLA going with them. You already get the LA market with USC. I don't understand.
I just think that those two schools are bound together like OU and Texas are. I mean, I think that rivalry to them is that big. And so the difference
there is UCLA doesn't have a rich tradition. OU and Texas both have better traditions than UCLA.
Right, but but if the Big Ten wanted USC's blue blood tradition, I think they said we're bringing UCLA with us. That's our rival, and we want to maintain that. Not to mention, it does bring in a very quality basketball program into a very good basketball conference in the Big Ten as well. So I think that's another aspect for it all.
UCLA, as far as a full athletics department, has been extremely good for years. So as much as I don't want to say that, but yeah, I mean, it's like I said, the Big Ten made a good move. Like I said, that's a brilliant move on their part. And it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out as far as the whole landscape of college football as a whole, how that's going to be affected by really groundbreaking changes that are happening.
Yeah, for sure. So let's now talk about groundbreaking media voting ship that did not put they put a single player from the University of Oklahoma on their preseason all Big 12 team.
Michael Turk.
Yep, our punter. For those that aren't aware.
Spencer Sanders is the all Big 12 quarterback.
So can I just say, this made me the happiest I've been all day outside of Chet and everything. This made me so freaking happy with everything going on with the OU football program. This is just a cherry on top, y'all. Like, you're telling me you're going to keep giving us like material, bulletin board material? Like, keep this coming. Like, what happens when OU is pissed off? Like, you don't want that.
You saw BV tweeted about it, didn't you?
I didn't. Did you really? Did he really?
Yes. And he said, let me find it. Yeah, yeah.
Team 120. He said, Team 128. You get what you earn. That's it.
And it wasn't like a subtweet. He literally retweeted the Big 12's official tweet about it.
Oh, yes, he did. Which was
tell me he's not going to put the biggest chip on everybody in that locker room's shoulder, right?
Oh
my
god!
This is going to be a team. This might be one of my favorite teams to watch. Maybe a team full of Baker Mayfields. Like, I mean,
well, that was 2000. That was 2000.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Hey, by the way, you should go through and look up a bunch of the athletes today as well. A bunch of the players, they did some kind of photo shoot, and for whatever reason, all the players were releasing their pictures from that.
I saw it.
Bro, Bryson Washington finally looks like a legitimate college safety. Joshua Eaton, I bet Joshua Eaton's put on 10 to 15 pounds. That dude looks completely different in those photos. It's unbelievable.
Did they use a different combo in jerseys? I don't remember seeing red on red in one of those pictures. It was like red jersey, red pants with the white stripes. I don't remember seeing that. Did you guys see that?
I don't remember seeing that picture, but
I saw a picture on Twitter somewhere on one of these shoots, I think, and I'm like, dang, we need that uni combo. Like, that's kind of sick.
Yeah, I would be all right with that. But yeah, man, I get it that Dylan Gabriel is new to the conference or whatever. But if you're trying to tell me that Spencer Sanders is better than him or some of the other quarterbacks,
he was voted newcomer.
Yes, he was voted the newcomer of the year. But that's like you're telling me if he wins newcomer of the year, that he's probably not going to be the first team quarterback in the league. You see what I'm saying? Like there's just I don't mean
there's a possibility. Yes, there's a possibility.
And our man Coach Melson subtweeted him. He did the same thing. He commented and straight up said, "You tell me if you're telling me there are 3 receivers better than Marvin Mims in this conference, you are crazy." He's like, "There is no one better in this conference at wide receiver than Marvin Mims Jr." And
who is this Keon Brown? Who is this Keon Brown?
He is a wide receiver commit for us out of Florida. He has shot up the charts. He's a guy that I think could be a 4-star by the end. I don't know what it is that caused him to not be recognized or known, but he went to an Alabama camp, got an offer, came to OU, got an offer, and he picked OU on the spot, basically, as soon as they offered him. So 6'2", 6'3", and can run like the wind.
6'3", 205, came to OU's camp first, got offered, went to Bama's a few days later. Saber offered too, but committed to OU.
Picked us.
Yeah.
Yep. Awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it's so, yeah. I mean, and the whole Big 12 thing with all big or preseason Big 12 selection. It doesn't make any. This is like the Big 12's MO, right? Like they do this every year. So I'm not surprised. Whatever. Bob Bowlesby probably got a vote. So, but. It is what it is. But I mean, yeah, like you said, Troy, like I was the same way when I saw that. I was like, yes. And then I saw BV tweet and I was like, bro, like, that's just pouring. So you just put so much fuel in our tank.
I love it. I absolutely adore it.
So, well, I think that we've exhausted ourselves out. We're at the 1:30 mark here. Let's go ahead and call it a night. We have hit a lot because a lot happened. As a matter of fact, folks, we weren't even supposed to podcast this week. We had said we were going to take the month of July off, but so much has happened in the last week. We were just like, we've got to hit some of these things. So we will definitely not podcast next week. So know that we'll be out for that next week, but we'll let you know when things get back together. Again, please don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, leave a 5-star review. Again, please don't forget to check out the merch store. It's just a way to kind of help us keep expanding this out, making it what it can be. We are working on a really cool interview to come up for you really soon. So hopefully we'll have details about that when I get back from vacation and we can start putting that out there. But man, we are having a great time. We hope you are too. I'm Daryl.
I'm J-Rod.
Troy.
And we will talk to you guys later.
Bye, Baker. New Panther. Lifelong Panther fan here. Thanks, buddy.
Cha-ching, it's on your money ball. And you can unhitch the wagon. Put the ponies in the ball.